FOMO, that's lesson number 1. Yes, we're starting off strong straight out of the gate of things you should know if you're new to the audiophile hobby, and also some things I wish I knew when I started the hobby 3 or 4 years ago. Hey friends, Tim here, welcome back to another video on Giz Audio. Today we have 10 different things that you should know if you're new to the hobby. Number 1, again, is FOMO. There's so many new releases, especially in the Iems world, and reviewers pick up these new releases and hype them all over the place. Me included. It's kind of our job as a reviewer to review products, so you can't blame us. But what you can do to defend yourself against me and everyone you listen to is just enjoy what you have. No need to stress out about every new hype piece that comes out on the market. Again, things move so fast that these hype pieces that you think you want are probably gonna get replaced by the new hype piece of next week anyway. So bottom line is just enjoy what you love. Whether you're new to the hobby or you've been a veteran in this hobby for a while, enjoy what you have and only buy the stuff that you really want. Like you think about it and you can't live without it. It's just as important as your newborn child. Then make the purchase. Other than that, wait. Number 2, if you are going to buy something, wait for sales. Chi-Fi have sales all the time, 5 to 6 times a year, where everything gets discounted 10 to even 30 to some brands 40%. And another reason to wait for sale season is normally new stuff gets released during sale season. So you get to see some of the newer options available on the market to determine if you even want to purchase the one you wanted to purchase in the first place. Number 3, be mindful of diminishing returns. Throughout my time in the hobby, there's a certain price tag that the majority of the community agree on is the sweet spot for getting the most bang for your buck. And that price tag has been reducing year after year after year. Right now, at the tail end of 2023, my personal opinion, that price tag sits at $300. If you buy an Iems at around $300, and given the fact that that Iems is good, meaning that it's well reviewed and well liked by the community and other reviewers, so on and so forth, you're already getting 90% of the performance of all the endgame Iems or any Iems more expensive than that. So if you're spending more than $300 for an Iems now, you're not getting as much improvement as you think you're getting, hence diminishing returns. And again, this number will change in the future, so check with the community and see what they think at the current time that you're watching. Now, with all the money saving tips out of the way, let's get into some other things that I wish I knew when I started the hobby. Number 4, tuning is basically 90% of the perceived sound quality. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. It's not the DAC, it's not the amp, it's not the music file, it's not the cable, it's not burn-in, it's not literally anything else. It's the tuning. Tuning is the most important thing. If the tuning is shit, it doesn't matter how high quality the other stuff is, you're gonna end up with a shitty Iems. If the tuning is great and all the other stuff is like mediocre, whatever, the Iems will still sound very good because the tuning is good, because the tuning makes up 90% of the perceived sound quality. The other 10%, marginal improvement. I'm not gonna say that it doesn't improve the sound, but it's so little in comparison to tuning that if you were to ignore these other things, you'll still have a very good sounding Iems. So you spend your money how you want. If you want to go for that marginal improvements, perfectly fine. Just know that you really don't need to. Number 5, ear tips matters more than you think, because ear tips that doesn't seal well for your ears will cause you to lose a lot of bass. And also ear tips, to a smaller degree of importance, affect the treble as well. If you want to get smoother treble, get ear tips that allows for deeper insertion, or use foam tips. They work just as well for smoothing treble. But yes, get ear tips that seal. That's the most important thing. Tip roll, try out different tips, and some tips will work better with certain Iems than others. Just experiment around, get the right ear tips for yourself. Number 6 will save you a lot of time and possibly some money as well, and that is to learn how to read frequency response graph. If you've been in the community for a while, you already know how to read them, but if you're new, it might look very intimidating. What are these squiggly lines? They look impossible to read. The most basic way to look at frequency response graph is to think about them as reference point. If you tried an Iems, say the Moondrop Aria, you listen to it, you can now look at the graph and say, oh, This sound graphs like this, and you can use that as reference point to compare other Iems to. Now, you're curious about the Kato, for example, you can now bring up the Aria graph and the Kato graph and take a look and be like, the Kato seems to have a little bit less bass, so possibly the vocals will pop up more in the Kato as compared to the Aria. Now, of course, this is a very simple explanation of it, but that's really the gist of it. And the more Iems you try and the more graph you read, the more reference point you have in your head, and suddenly, boom, you know how to read graph automatically. Trust me, this is how it happens for me and pretty much for majority of people in the community. Oh, I forgot to tell you how it saves you time and money. Well, if you tried an IM that you hate and the graph looks a certain way, now whenever a new IM comes out that graphs similar to the ones you hate, you can just skip it. Don't even have to spend the time to try it if you don't want to. Saves you both time and money. Number 7 is to kind of save you from information overload and over-analyzation and all these other things that has to do with having way too much information, is just to skip the marketing. Yes, when brands release new products, there's so much marketing involved with each one, and that's just common practice. Don't blame the brand, they're just doing business, it's not wrong. But in your case, to save yourself some mental space and confusion, just skip the marketing. Don't need to read how the brand described the sound quality. Instead, you should look in the community for other reviews of people who've actually tried the products and use those reviews to inform your next purchase decisions or your next demo decision instead. Much more reliable than the marketing materials. Speaking of reviews, number 8 is to find reviewers that have similar tastes to you. There are so many reviewers out there now and new ones coming in every single day. There's a lot of conflicting views out there. Some say this IM is good, some say this IM is trash. Who should I trust? Just save yourself all that headache by finding a reviewer that has the most similar taste to you. Because chances are, if they like what you like already, their next recommendation is probably gonna be in the realm of something you like. Number 9 will come as a surprise to some of you guys out there because a lot of this video tells you how to save money. But number 9, I'm telling you to spend a little bit more money. Don't buy all the cheap stuff all the time, because when you spend very little money, you get equal amounts of quality, whether that be in the build quality, in quality of the customer service, in quality control of the products in general. Spend a little bit more for slightly bit more premium product and slightly bit more premium experience with the brand. Now, that being said, you also have to pick the right brand. Some brands have terrible reputation. You don't have to buy from them because, you know, learn from other people's mistakes. Pick the right brand and spend a little bit more money. Don't go for the uber cheap stuff all the time if you don't have to. Which leads us to point number 10 and the most important point of all. Get medicine organizers for your ear tips, very useful, and also get watch cases for organizing your IEMs. Super crucial.